Good afternoon. It's 12:30. Branding series Lunch and Learn. Today is, I'm not even sure. I know it's Thursday. I have the hardest time keeping up with all the dates and things because so many awesome things are happening at lightning speed, and so it's hard to keep up. Here comes my son getting some lunch. Everybody say, hey, Darius. Nobody's here yet. I just turned it on. So last section in this Lunch and Learn series. Today is, our topic is trigger sales by defining your one thing. And so we have had a great time this week in this Lunch and Learn series. Next week, I will resume the 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time schedule. This week in the group, the 7 p.m. slot has been filled with our masterclass, which has been awesome. And so we have 2 more days. Well, we really have 3 more days left in the masterclass. And so once we finish with the masterclass, next week we will resume 7 p.m. Trainings in the Elite Profit Boss Society Facebook group. And so I did the Lunch and Learns just as in addition, because not everybody was signed up for the masterclass, but I wanted to give an opportunity for everybody to get some training this week. Hello, Charlene. Thank you for being here. So today we are going to focus on trigger sales by defining your one thing. We have a lot of new people in the group, and so as always, I'll introduce myself and share a little bit about what's going on in our group and how you can participate, and how you can, stay engaged in the group. And so I am Andrea White. I'm CEO of Elite Leadership Coaching by Andrea, where we support women of color winning in business ownership. We help our clients get results such as increased profits and sales, as well as a very effective business and leadership skill set, so that they aren't just sort of running a business, but they're leading a business for high profits as well as longevity. The other side of the house, we focus on women of color winning in career advancement. And so we help women that are in their 9-to-5s, and their results typically look like increased income, being able to successfully negotiate salaries and pay raises, and also getting promotions. And so we cover sort of both sides of the spectrum. For over 25 years, I have been in and around business strategy across the country. Of those 25 years, I have had a coaching and consulting company for 15 years that has allowed me to work with really a number of companies around business strategy, whether that was increasing employee engagement, boosting sales, increasing their bottom line. And finally, I have had the pleasant opportunity of serving in an executive role where I was Director of Human Resources, Organizational Management, Marketing, which is one of my favorite things, as well as volunteer and internship services and community relations. I'm an award-winning leadership program developer as well, so I know what it means to be a leader and develop leaders as well. And so I'm super happy to be here today. Hey, Katrina, you here? You here? You here? Thank you for coming on. I'm glad you're here because I realized there was something that I didn't share last night around your one thing. And so you'll get a little bit something extra from last night, Katrina. And so we'll go ahead and jump right in. This week, just as a really quick recap for the Lunch and Learn series, we have covered the 5 ingredients of an effective brand. And so it's really important that business owners understand that branding is more than a logo and a website. And so there are 5 key ingredients for a brand. And so what's your blueprint? What are the, common things that people can absolutely count on from your brand and from your business? And in sort of showing up consistently, just focused around those things that your business takes care of, creates loyalty and trust. If you are flip-flopping, not sure what you're doing, not sure what your business is doing, it's really difficult and confusing for people. And so a confused mind will not purchase. And so the first ingredient is blueprint. The second ingredient is relationship. What is the intentional relationship that you're trying to build with your customers? What are the thoughts and feelings and psychological attachment you want your customers to have to your brand? The third ingredient is agreement. What is the promise that you are making to your customers? What's the agreement? The fourth ingredient is nature. And so what's the nature of your business? What's your personality? What's the style of your business? What's the character of your business? And ultimately what you're getting at is what is the emotional association to your brand. And then the last one is distinctive. So what makes your brand unique and stand out from the crowd? So those are the 5 ingredients that you must answer, you must be intentional about, and you must execute consistently so that potential customers and current customers are trusting you, and they're loyal to you, and they're referring other people to you. And so that's where the big where I talk about sales and profits come from. So one of the things we talked about in a masterclass last night is answering those 5 ingredients, sitting down to do the work, putting those things into action. And then those things, how you answer those 5 ingredients, those things actually drive like the colors that you use, the look and feel of your logo, the look and feel of your website. And very often what happens is people do the logo and the website before they actually get to the 5 ingredients. And then those things don't match, as well as you haven't answered those 5 ingredients and they don't match who you think your ideal customer is. And so because those things don't match, people are confused and they don't buy from you. And so in our group, we really focus on strategically setting up a business, not just opening our doors and we start selling something. Like, we are in it for the long haul. We are in it to change our life, our kids' lives, etc. And so we believe in doing things very strategically and starting and building in the right way for a long-term business. Okay, so those are the 5 ingredients that we covered earlier this week, really quickly. And so today we're going to focus on your one thing, which is your unique selling proposition. And so frequently out and about, you may just see what is your USP, and that means that somebody's asking you what's your unique selling position. And as you think about this is how you answer the 5th ingredient of distinctive. So what makes your company different from others? Why will people, hi Tawanda, why will people buy from you instead of others? Okay, and so Tawanda and Katrina, I'm glad y'all are here because I did forget a piece to share last night, and so I'm glad you're here. And I'm gonna put this as part of our visual recap for session, what was session 3? Wednesday, session 3. I'll put this as part of the visual recap since I didn't cover it, okay? So when you start to work on your unique selling proposition, ultimately there are 4 questions that you're answering, and this is the part that I didn't include last night, Katrina and Tawanda. And so as you begin to formulate your unique selling proposition, and I'll share mine again, so that you can have an example. The questions that you want to answer are, why are you doing this? Why are you, in the business that you're in? What's your story, which we talked about last night? And then what are you great at? And then what value do you create? And so again, I'll create sort of a visual recap of those 4 questions and post it in our group, and then you can have it for future reference. So when you're defining your unique selling proposition, you are answering the questions: why are you doing this? What's your story? What are you great at? And what value do you create? And so your USP is the factor in your business and in your brand that makes you different from your competition. It's what makes you unique, and it determines your audience, whether they will purchase from you instead of others. Now, one key thing that's really important to understand, and we're going to be talking about this a little bit more tonight as we focus on selling and being confident in selling. A lot of times people buy, especially if you have a small business, people buy because not of what you do, but why you do it. And so it's really important to be able to understand and be able to communicate why it is that you do what you do. So there are 2 parts that I want to sort of give an example and then help you to understand. It may sound one way, and then what the value in it is different, and what does it do for your brand. Okay, so I typically introduce myself. You all heard me say it earlier. My name is Andrea White. I'm CEO of Elite Leadership Coaching by Andrea, where we support women of color, business owners to get results such as increased business and leadership skills, as well as boosted profits and sales. Now, that is sort of my standard introduction. That is part of my unique selling proposition. What you get when you have a strong, unique selling proposition is people know who you are, they know what you do, they know who you do it for, and they know the results that you get. And this can be done no matter what it is that your business is. If you are selling clothes, if you're selling jewelry, if you are selling cosmetics, people, depending upon who your audience is. We talked a lot about being crystal clear about your customers. Depending upon who your customer is, like, you draw them in, and you may say, hi, my name is Tawanda. I sell, I think you have lingerie, Tawanda. I think that's right. I have a lingerie boutique where we focus on high quality lingerie items for couples to be able to experience love and emotion and sexiness in a, I don't know, high quality way. I don't know. I'm just kind of pulling something out of the sky. But in that, Tawanda has, if I didn't, botch that up and do the wrong business for you, Tawanda. Anyway, I just made you sell lingerie. Okay. And so what it says is, she introduces herself. She talks about what it is that she does. And she also talks about sort of why she does what she does and what result or what feeling her customers are going to have if they patronize her business. Okay, so coming up with your unique selling proposition should say who you are, what it is you do, who you do it for, and what results can people expect. And so another example, if I love jewelry, I love bangles and bracelets and things like that. If somebody sells jewelry, my name is Andrea. I am a jewelry maker. I make handcrafted banglets and wristlets for women who are on trend, and for sophisticated women who are on trend, and some. Okay, so that's just a couple of examples. And so in spaces where you have an opportunity to introduce yourself, it's important that you have sort of a standard way of introducing yourself when you're in sort of these business and networking settings. And because you've said who you are, what you do, who you serve, and the results that you get, even if the person that you're talking to is not your ideal customer, they know these 4 things about you, and they probably know somebody that they can refer to you. And so there is value in having that unique statement put together, and that's where the sales and profits come in. But you have to spend the time to come up with something that's natural for you, something that you have to practice saying it, and it's something that you use all the time. If you come on video, if you're go to a networking meeting, it's a very consistent statement that you're using. And then where the story, skills, and experience come in, for instance, so once I introduce myself, hi, my name is Andrea White, that is a great place to open up conversation with people. And so that's where the opportunity to share the other part of what you heard me say earlier when I introduced myself. For over 25 years, I have been a business strategy across the United States of America, helping companies and people to increase their business and leadership skills, grow their profits and sales. I've served as, an executive in X, Y, and Z companies. My skills are helping people to be the very best that they can be in performance and in business. That is my skill. That is my gift. It is what the results that my clients get based on, those are my gifts, skills, and talents. And so a lot of times when you use that unique selling proposition statement, which is the hello, I am statement, be sure to be able to have your story, skills, and experience also sort of mapped out in how you want to say that, over and over and over again. The one thing that you do want to be very mindful of is that you don't get robotic in that. And so sometimes you may switch it up in terms of how you say it, the flavor that you use when you say it, but you're pretty much always saying the same thing. And so I just caution you not to get robotic about it. And so when it comes down to it, that unique selling proposition is really what draws people to you if they are your ideal customer. If they are not your ideal customer, they are still in a position to be able to say, you know what, I met Andrea, who works with, women of color that are working on businesses. While I'm not trying to do that, maybe you should give her a call, or this is the information that I have about her. And so again, when you're thinking about your USP, it is also a way that can drive what your logo, your brand colors are, what types of fonts you use. All of that should really match, and it should most match who your ideal customer is. And so if you don't do that branding work, and you don't do that customer clarity work, and you build a brand that is not consistent with who your ideal customer is, you end up with a brand without any customers, because you've built your brand, you've built your messaging, you've built your 5 ingredients, you've built your logo and your colors and your font around people that are not attracted to any of that. And so that's why it's really important to do the work up front and do those things together. You always want to start out with targeting your ideal customer, and then you can move into all of these steps around building your brand. And so ideally you want to attract your ideal customer with those 5 brand ingredients that can then drive, you know, what your website look and feel is, what your customer service policies are, how people are greeted when they enter your space or call you or text you or send you a DM. And so all of those things and how you respond and how people interact with your brand are really driven by you being very intentional in building out those 5 ingredients. And also, outside of the 5 ingredients, I would say your unique selling proposition, or how you introduce yourself, is probably the second most important part of your brand. Because again, when you are able to say who you are, who you serve, and the results of, you know, that your customers get, when people know that, it can be very attractive to people. Even if you're not, even if they don't need your services, it creates credibility, it creates attraction, it can create loyalty, in that even though the person isn't my ideal client, they may consistently refer people to me. And that's very true in my business. Like, there are people that are not interested in really advancing in their career. There are people that are not trying to grow a business, but I get referrals from other people all the time, and they are not my customer. But because they know who I am and what I do and who I do it for and the results that people get, and I'm consistently saying the same thing, my messaging, the posts that I share, they always are sort of around those things. People are loyal about referring people to me, even though they've never been a customer of mine. So I hope that helps. Any questions about your USP, coming up with your unique selling proposition, that I can answer for anybody? You want to answer, why are you doing this? What's your story? What are you great at? What value do you create? You want to think about being able to share, you know, who you are, what you do, who you do it for, and the results that you get. You know, so that's a mouthful of questions. But if you work through those, and I worked on my USP for a little bit of time until I got really comfortable with what I felt like was the right thing to say in a very clear and quick kind of way. So it is something you want to spend time on if you're serious about your business. Again, I am totally against just throwing a business together. And so a lot of the things that we talk about in our group, a lot of the things that I train and teach on, it requires action, it requires work, it requires thought, it requires critical thinking. But if you go through the steps, you will absolutely win. Okay, and so I'm always going to advocate, like, think through it, work on it, you know, take the time to do the things so that at the end of the day, you're able to make money. You're able to make sales, you're able to be profitable, you're able to scale your business, grow your business, You know, you're able to do what you want to do with your family. So just so many things can come out of doing it really, really well. Okay, so not seeing any questions, I am going to log off. This is the end of the branding series Lunch and Learn. I will return to the regular schedule of 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time training in the group next week because our masterclass will be over. And so, as always, I will see you at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're joining the masterclass. If not, then I'll see you around in our Facebook group. You know, I'm in there dropping things all the time. And I hope that you have a great and terrific Thursday. I'm Andrea White, CEO of Elite Leadership Coaching by Andrea, where we support women of color business owners to increase their business and leadership skills and increase their profits and sales. Okay, so I will see you tonight at 7.